I really thought we were going to have a larger group based on how many messages and new members we've gained in the past 2 weeks. So maybe we'll have people straggling in as we go on. My name is Cathie Hyatt. I'm the club president. If I haven't met you, make sure to say hi. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Michelle.
Add the National Union of Health. Oh, sorry. There's a microphone in my face. The National Union of Health Workers Kaiser mental health professional strike that's going on, just for a brief report.
So Michelle has moved that we add the strike to the agenda. Do I have a second? Was that a second, Elise? Catherine seconds. All in favor? Any objections? All right, we will add that to the agenda tonight. Thank you, Michelle. Okay, let's look and see what we've got. Starting off tonight is elected officials and or their representatives, and we are fortunate enough to have one of our favorite elected officials sent us a video message tonight. So we are going to hear from Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs. And John, as soon as John's got that up. Yeah, she's in DC tonight, so she couldn't be here with us, but she was kind enough to send us a message. And John is searching. We have quite a few people on our Zoom tonight. Welcome to all of you on Zoom. We appreciate you. Hello. Just 1 second. There she is. I see her right there in the center. Thank you for bearing with us. Be just 1 moment.
Hey, Democratic Women's Club of San Diego. I just wanted to say thank you so
Got it.
much for everything that you did for my races all across San Diego. We actually had some really
There we go. Yep.
Hey, Democratic Women's Club of San Diego. I just wanted to say thank you so, so much for everything that you did for my race and for races all across San Diego. We actually had some really important wins in San Diego, and it's a huge testament to all of your hard work. Now, I know that the national election didn't go the way any of us wanted, and I am still looking at all of the data and trying to figure out what happened and make sure that we're learning these lessons to move forward. But I think one of the most important things right now is to one, let yourself feel disappointed and sad. It is disappointing and sad and scary. Bad things are going to happen. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But at the same time, we can't let ourselves pull inward. We have to stay in community and stay with each other and stay fighting for the things that we care about. And there are going to be some people who voted for Donald Trump who are going to be very hurt by his policies. And it's going to be more important than ever that we welcome them, that we welcome them back, that we have an open hand, that we're having these tough conversations with each other. So I can promise you that no matter what, I'll be here in DC fighting for what our community needs, fighting to protect people, fighting to protect our values. And I can't wait to see all the good we're going to do together, even if it takes a little bit longer than we wanted.
Yes, so community, that's what we're here for, right? Everybody's wants to reach out and be with people that worked the same way we all worked and that feel the same way we all feel. So thank you for bringing your energy with you and coming tonight. She did mention that we've had some wins, and boy, did we have some wins. We had some wonderful election results in San Diego, and let's take a moment to go over those. John, do you have those? Yeah, even across the state, we've had some wins, and even across the country, we've had a couple of milestones that we've reached. So we're going to go over those briefly and talk about it. Of course, one of the races that we worked hard on, the last meeting we had before the election, was working for Tara Lawson-Remer, and she did prevail. We did prevail. So we are really glad for that. Yeah. So yes, many of our endorsed candidates won. So we are not going back. And then the rainbow flag one. John's going to get it dialed in for us. There we go. And we'll go to the next slide, please. In California, we passed Prop 3, which protects same-sex marriage. So we can give ourselves a hand for that. Go ahead, John, to the next one. For the first time ever, we have 2 Black women in the Senate together. Representative Lisa Blunt Rochester in Delaware and Angela also Brooks in Maryland. So we're Lisa Blunt Rochester in Delaware and Angela also Brook in Maryland. And so we're very excited about that. It was a big, big win. Of course, our very own Rep. Sarah Jacobs won her reelection, and we just heard from her. And welcome, Jackson. Thank you for coming tonight. We appreciate you. And of course, Mike Levin won his reelection in District 49. Dr. Akilah Weber was elected to California State Senate, District 39. Dr. Lachey Sharp Collins elected to California State Assembly District 79. Such an important seat that we wanted to really hang on to, and so we're really glad to see that win. Dr. Darshana Patel elected to California State Assembly. By the way, all of these local races were endorsed candidates. We endorsed all of these candidates to win, so we're pleased with that. Supervisor Chair Nora Vargas won her reelection in District 1. As I mentioned before, Supervisor Tara Lawson-Remer, keeping our county blue. That's what we wanted, to keep our majority on the Board of Supervisors. She did. And we were really nervous about that one, and we pulled it through. Heather Furbert, elected San Diego City Attorney, also a club endorsed candidate. Club endorsed. And out in La Mesa, we have Lauren Cazares, elected to La Mesa City Council. And here's our school board candidates that we endorsed that have all won their seats. So, sure. Lucy Agarte won in Chula Vista. Chris Galicia Brown won in Southwestern. Allison Emery won in Carlsbad. Cipriano Vargas won in Vista. And Sabrina Basso in San Diego Unified. That one is still very, very close, but it's looking good for Sabrina.
Did we not endorse Genevieve, Suzuki, and La Mesa?
So at the time we did the endorsement for La Mesa City Council, Jack Shue was still running, and we endorsed Jack Shue. And then he subsequently dropped out of the race, and we did not go back and revisit that. But Genevieve did win, so we're pleased with that result regardless. So I want to take a second and thank Mandy. Mandy Havlick was our endorsement chair. And if it weren't for Mandy, we wouldn't have been able, she's right here eating her food. Sorry to call you out when you're about to take a bite. But Mandy facilitated all our endorsements, and she did a great job between her and John and Beatrice of making sure that we were able to endorse such an important function of the club. And we nailed it. So good times. All right, let's see what we got next. All right, we've got one of our favorite people ever. Angela DeJoseph is here tonight, and she's going to talk to us about a couple of things. So come on up, Angela. And we will hear what she's going to make some announcements, some new things coming up.
Thank you, Kathy. Just quick, I just want to understand who's in the room. Are there any Swifties here? Okay, just so you understand my shirt, right? Okay, good, good. I just wanted somebody to understand my shirt. Very good. So just before I get started, I wanted to say we are shutting down Twitter and we're moving to Blue Sky. If you have not heard, well, there was 18 million, 19 million. So who's on Blue Sky? So we should make sure my handle is ADJ Show. Angela D. Joseph Shows, ADJ Show. So let's shut it down and move out of there. So, okay. All right. So, good evening. I'm Angela D. Joseph, and there's some new faces here. So some of you may not know the story that I've told about 1,000 times, but I founded Women of Color Roar, and we give an annual breakfast on the first Saturday in Black History Month. And I started it 8 years ago, and I came to Susan's house when Susan was in ADU when she had a little granny flat. And what's so interesting about tonight, though, is kind of a full circle, is the person who introduced me was Cathie Sattler. Cathie, 8 years ago. So Cathie and Pam, whose house it was, they knew that I wanted to put on this event for Black women. And I wanted to do something because Black women at the time in San Diego were not part of the Women's March here. And I wanted to do something and celebrate the Black women elected officials. And they said, well, do you need some money or something? I'm like, well, yeah. And they go, well, we can introduce you to the Democratic Women's Club. I go, okay. So they introduced me to Susan. I went to her house to a board meeting that was in her little apartment. And that very night, Sarah Jacobs was also there to meet them for the first time. So Sarah and I, at that point in time, were both there starting together. And we've bonded ever since. And, but from that point on, the Democratic women, they went into Susan's bedroom to vote on whether or not they were going to give me the funds, and they did. They had to go to the bedroom because it was like they were in the living room and it was like, okay, we have to go to the boardroom, and they went into the bedroom. And so, and they voted yes. And so, and then ever since then, the Democratic Women's Club has been very generously a sponsor, and we grew to the point where we really ran out of space. We had over 500 people, sold out all the tickets. Every year we sponsor 100 young women in high school and some, in community colleges to come to the event at our, that are our guests. And throughout the years, it continued to grow. And one year we actually had like 194 girls, and we're like, oh my God, how are we going to pay for all these breakfasts? And then actually one of the unions, what union is that Carol Kim is over? Bill and Trace. A consortium of unions. Well, they stepped up and they said, we'll pay for all the girls, so all the girls can come to the breakfast. So that's the community, the type of community that we have. So originally this year, the Women of Color for Breakfast, I had a plan and I had a vision of what we were going to do and how we were going to be celebrating. And it didn't turn out to be what I thought I was going to be doing. And so in my darkest moments of despair, I realized that I could not stay in that place because I had 100 young women that were counting on me, who were invited to come on February 1st, 2025, to this breakfast. And we have hundreds of young women throughout the years who I have told, you can be anything, you can do anything. I want you to know and be motivated and be leaders. And so I realized that I had to dig deep inside of me and I had to pull it out, because I had to find a way to let them know that, you know what, it's going to be okay. Your ancestors went through a whole lot more that we don't even know about. If Harriet Tubman could go back 13 or 19 times back to get more slaves, and if Shirley Chisholm could stand up in 1972 and say, I want to be president of the United States, and if Fannie Lou Hamer could say, I don't care, I'm going to register to vote. Okay, if I lose my job, if I get chased by dogs, if I get beaten, if I get thrown in jail, I'm going to still fight for voting rights. If they can do all of that, then damn it, we can get through this, and we will get through this. And you know what? One of these girls is going to be president of the United States one day. So what we're going to do, we always honor women. And this year, our main honoree is going to be the first Black and Asian woman Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris. We are going to have picture. We are going to have her closest friends, Stacey Baptiste and Carol Porter. They are going to come. Stacey wrote a book about growing up with Kamala and the neighborhood, and she is coming. And you can let us know if you would like to buy a copy of her book ahead of time, and she will be there to sign her book. This will be a historic memento. The first woman vice president and a woman who had 107 days. And somebody pointed out to me that actually it was 77 days, because There was early voting. People were already voting. So she really only had 77 days to pull off an extraordinary campaign. So Stacy will be there to sign her book. Carol was the other little girl on the bus with Kamala when they were being bused in Berkeley. So they will be there and they will be able to talk about growing up with Kamala. And they're still her friends today. They were there with her in DC. They'll be able to talk about knowing her since kindergarten. We have other honorees, and I will be sending out information about who the other honorees are. But we are going to have a special spotlight about our first female vice president. We'll talk about her accomplishments as vice president. She broke the most ties in the Senate of any vice president. As a matter of fact, they gave her I think a golden gavel. I know at one point it was at least 33 that she had broken. She also was involved in all the major legislation that came out of the Biden-Harris. She was involved in the infrastructure bill. She was the one that lobbied and got things done. She met with 150 world leaders. There's so many things that people don't know that she did on the world stage. And so we're going to do a special spotlight about her and her accomplishments. And tickets are now on sale. We have a QR code that's going to come up on this real soon, but you can point your phone. Is that what you do? Point your phone to the QR code and you can go to the website. And let me tell you, we sell out every year, and every year people beg me at the last minute, can I please have a ticket? I'm like, why do you wait until there's no more tickets? QR code. And between now and December 15th, we have early bird pricing. And do not call me at midnight and tell me you didn't get one. It goes to the early bird pricing only goes until the 15th. And I want to say thank you to the Democratic Women's Club. Where's Cathie? Thank you all, because you all already put us in your budget. Thank you. Thank you. You all voted to already fund us. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So we're going back to San Diego City College where we were last year, because we have outgrown the Jacob Center. We literally cannot fit any more tables in there. Oh yeah, to San Ysidro. But anyway, we're at San Diego City College and we will be there, and it will be February 1st. It's Saturday morning, bright and early. And if you came last year, it's going to be the same thing. We're going to have the buses from the parking lot bringing you over. Yes.
And to any representatives in the room right now who might be representing elected officials, Angela always, somebody poke him. She always needs more money. So just an ask.
Well, thank you. No, it's in the gym. Yeah, it's in. Yes, but we decide, well, the community college and so very generously had taken us in when we didn't have anywhere to go when our the Jacob Center was flooded. And then they said, we want you to stay. And so they made us an offer we couldn't refuse. And so they actually brought other community colleges together. And so they're going to be one of our sponsors, the community colleges. So I think Elise, who's chewing, can probably tell you a little more about exactly that. So QR code. And I just want to say thank you. And if you have any other questions, I'm here and you can ask.
Any questions?
Well, I just had a quick question. Do you have a follow-up event coming? A new one this year?
Well, we
The
start
lobbying event,
the
Sacramento trip?
Well, thank you, Cathie. Yes, we are taking 10 of the young women up to Sacramento for the first time, and they get to go. It's a 3-day trip. and they get to lobby their lawmakers. We want them to know that, okay, even if you don't hold elected office, there are things you can do. So we want to teach them about how to talk to your elected officials, and we're going to teach them how to lobby. So they're going to get to lobby for a bill, for something they're interested in. And we're going to be going, that's going to be about the middle of February. And they're going to get to go to visit the offices. They're going to get to meet the Attorney General and the Secretary of State. They're going to go to the Assembly, the Senate, and actually, thank you, Cathie, because we are raising money for that trip. We have, it's the cost of the trip is $11,000. And we've raised 5,000 so far. We got a grant that Dr. Akila Weber got us from the Women's Caucus, and we still need to raise $6,000. And then the sponsors, we're going to put together like a package of photos and videos and a report from the trip from the girls that all the sponsors will be sending out to all the sponsors. So if anyone is interested in helping with that, because, again, we want to be proactive and teach them the things that you can do, because Cathie was very much involved in how you fight back and how you advocate for yourself. And we're about to have to do that again, but we want them to learn now early how you advocate and how you can shut down bills that you don't like and how you can get bills that you want passed. So thank you for that question.
All right. Thank you, Angela. We look forward to it. It's going to be terrific. Of course.
This is Angela Davis when she's bummed out and out of energy.
Angela DeJoseph. All right. So for our next part of our meeting, we wanted to acknowledge how everyone's feeling and check in with everyone. We think that's an important part of building community. So we are going to go around the room. If you are shy and you don't want to speak up, that's fine. You'll just pass. We're going to have Pat facilitate this. Pat, you want to introduce yourself and we'll get started with this?
Okay, I'm Patricia Wojdowski. I'm a psychotherapist, which is why Cathie picked me to do this. But what? I'm membership chair. Okay. So I would like us to kind of squeeze in. You can come back to your dinner and if you want to bring some with you, but let's squeeze in. People at the end of the tables, just move up a bit, and there are a couple here of spaces. And I'm going to sit there up there. And okay, squeeze in a little more. So hopefully we can hear each other without a microphone too much.
We need to use the microphones.
Yeah, okay.
So
we've been stunned by Trump before. And we were stunned again. We were told that things were running pretty well. It was tight, but this was, looking blue. That was looking blue. And in our minds, Kamala Harris had a lot going for her. Who wouldn't vote for her over this guy? But yet we know about Orban, we know about Chavez, or we know about Mussolini, we know about Hitler. And I've heard people say those things can't happen here. Well, guess what? There's nothing special about us. We have a nice constitution, but it can be ramrodded. How are we? Where are we? Are we feeling burned out? Are we feeling like we need to just keep hammering? Our membership is up. Our membership is I think my last count today was 147 and we had one more then come in. Are we feeling confused? I mean, what the hell did these people vote for him for? And I want you just to kind of speak up. I mean, say how you're feeling. It's okay to say, I'm sick of this, and I don't
So
want
let's hear your name and then
Yeah.
why you came tonight and what you hope to get from the club. And we'll start with that.
Okay.
Okay. Michelle, you want to go first?
Michelle Krug. I I I guess my 8 years ago, I was really paralyzed when this happened. I, didn't want to get out of bed, and a lot of people felt like that. This time I wasn't. I sadly was not surprised. I mean, I was, sad and devastated, but it wasn't. I knew it was really possible, and I walked in Phoenix. I walked in Tucson. I saw the signs. Honestly, I was calling 3 nights a week from the building trades to Nevada. So between Arizona and Nevada, it was really clear to me that the people were not all that invested, but that was the leaning. So I guess for me, I'm kind of just taking the deep breath. I've been out on the picket line for National Union of Health Workers, the mental health workers for Kaiser from the day it started, October 21st, and November 6th, I was back out there in the morning because it's like I need to do something, and that's how I'm coping, is by doing something practical and then looking for the opportunities, because I know we're going to be slammed with it, to be able to fight back.
My name is Geraldine Henderson, and actually this is my first meeting here. So yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Similar. Sadly, I wasn't surprised, I guess. I was surprised, but I wasn't. I have a background at San Diego State in political science and women's studies, and I've gone other places in my life and different roles in career, but just this, I fear there's a really deep misogyny and racism and prejudice that is still occurring. And I think that was part of this. I think I have a lot of perspective and things. The one thing, the reason I'm here is I know that civil society is so important in whatever this looks like for the next 4 years and beyond, to fight this and to stay engaged and involved. And I did feel like I was heartbroken is how I've kind of felt. And I have a 2-year-old, and she's half Indian. So I was so excited for her to see someone like her at 2 and what the future could look like for her. So I'm not going to give up, obviously. I'm going to keep fighting for that, and hope that she can see more of herself in the world around her. And yeah, I guess that's getting back involved as I had been and kind of had dipped out and realizing I can't. So here I am.
Hi, my name is Jackson. I am mostly just really angry. I think I have a lot of anger. That's kind of my driving motivation. That's why I started working in politics. And I haven't had a lot of time, I think, yet to decompress because we're still working. Been up in LA the last week every day, doing ballot cure for a House race there that's still too close to call. A lot of that is obviously directed at Republicans and oligarchs for what they're doing. Some of it also, I think, is at a lot of like the Democratic old guard for making mistakes that people were telling them the whole time, hey, this is not going to work. But I think also I knew it was a very real possibility, but I think still a part of me was like, there's no way he's going to win again. And so even though I tried really hard and told everybody around me that like, no, you have to be aware this is really possible, I think it still did kind of hit me like that. But I think all that makes me do is want to work harder at it. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I will need to take some time to stop and take a couple deep breaths at some point. Not yet, but soon.
So I would just say that certainly I was heartbroken. What I'm thinking of mostly is my mother, who was the first president of the National Organization for Women in San Diego County. And we had the first meetings at my parents' home in 1970. And, you know, she always said, which is what Kamala Harris said as well, is you just have to constantly fight. So I think in the back of my mind, it's just realizing, okay, we're going to have to keep on fighting. Oh, Angela Hawkins.
Hi, Mandy Havlick, and I am a Democrat that is very upset about the results as well. But, you know, a little bit about me, child marriage survivor. I grew up in a Christian fundamentalist church. So when 2016, when he came across and won, that was a huge shock. That's actually what got me, lit my spine up and lit me up and like, hey, I got to start looking for my people and investing in community. And seeing that we're coming, that, you know, this well-qualified woman she's 60 years old, she's accomplished so many things in her life, and this gentleman can say all the nonsense that he said. I mean, even the last couple of months, it's just been escalating. It's hard to fight that feeling that we'll never be enough for this society. And as a woman, we're constantly feeling that I'm not enough, or when are we going to get to that level of, oh, they're not going to say, what about this? Or what about that? Or you're too this, or you're too that. And again, back to what someone said earlier about the misogyny and the racism, the patriarchy that's just entrenched in our society. Unfortunately, the abuser has come back in the room. And as that's triggering. That's triggering as, you know what, 4-letter word. And yeah, it took me down. It took me down, but I'm back on my horse. And, you know, I'm going to get rowdy and I'm going to keep fighting. I'm running for office in 2026. And I know that. I was born and raised in this BS, and this is not the answer for our society. Our democracy is under attack. And what better to say, you know what, I've been there, done that, got the postcard, and that did not serve me well. We need change in our leadership. And I mean, I am encouraged though, because I remember in 2016 feeling so just full of despair. And while, yeah, I needed a moment, which I'm human, I get to have that. I feel like I've met that moment. And I feel empowered and I'm ready. And so let's get ready to rumble. So.
My name is Joan Schneider, and this is the first meeting that I'm at that I've actually become a member, but I'm not voting for another 2 meetings. And, but I've been to about 3-4 meetings now. And I used to be a member of the Democratic Women's Club when it was in existence years ago. And I worked on a lot of campaigns and had a lot of successes and had a lot of disappointments. And I would say that the thing that I'm most disappointed in this particular campaign is the absolute stupidity of the people in this country that go and vote without having any clue what they're doing. Yeah. So that's what I have to say.
Hi, I'm Cindy Jones, and I've been a disability rights advocate forever. And before the election, I was doing some disability work for Kamala Harris. They had a Raise Every Voice campaign, and it raised $1.5 million. I wasn't the lead on that, but it was the work of all of us. We did some 400 postcards, my sister and I, to swing states and all of that. And I was always bracing myself that she wasn't going to win. You know, I was watching the polls every day, and she was ahead by 10, and then it was 8, and then it was 6, and then she was underwater, and I was nervous. And I'm nervous now watching what's happening with appointments and how they're going to, well, supposedly do recess appointments. And I'm concerned, I'm hopeful that there's some Republicans that have a spine. I don't know if that's going to happen, but you know, there was Liz Cheney. Who would ever thought Liz Cheney would have stepped up, right? So I think it's going to surprise us what's going to happen. But I think we're in for a really tough way. I'm here tonight because I was on a call. It was Indivisible, Move On, a couple of weeks just after the election. It was 140,000 people, and one of the things they said was to start working networks. And so I haven't been here before, but I went to a working families thing the other night, and this is what I'm doing, is trying to create some bridges, because I think we've been siloed, you know. And so this is part of what I'm doing to keep my sanity, and also to reach out, because we know it's coming. We better know who each other is.
Hi. Well, I'm not ready to talk about it, but I do want to read something that Martin Luther King, not Martin King, Martin Luther King's daughter posted this, and I'm going to read what she posted. And it's a list of 10 things. And it's hashtag never say his name. Don't use his name ever. 45 will do. Remember, this is a regime and he's not acting alone. Do not argue with those who support him. It doesn't work. Focus on his policies, not his orangeness or his mental state. Keep your message positive. They want the country to be angry and fearful, because this is the soil from which their darkest policies will grow. No more helpless, hopeless talk. Support artists and the arts. Be careful not to spread fake news. Check it. Take care of yourselves and resist. Resist. So do not capitulate. Do not accept it. Resist.
I'm Patricia Wojdowski. I already introduced myself. All I want to say is I just want to keep hammering. That's all there is to it. You just have to keep hammering, and eventually you're going to break that board.
Hi, I'm Megan. I'm a special education teacher. I also do a lot of work with the California Teachers Association. I'm a state delegate for the Civil Rights and Education Committee. And I'm just really concerned right now. I know number soon to be 47, wants to dismantle the Department of Education, the Department of Labor. And I guess I'm fearful of what that looks like for our students. I know I have students that are already afraid of being deported. They're like, does this mean my parents are going to be leaving soon? You know, so just that fear is creeping up again, like it did 4 years ago. But I think more than ever, I'm just going to step up to the plate and keep organizing and coming to meetings like these, and just building community.
I like that, building community. I'm Ann Hoiberg, and I do have a little bit of a history of really promoting women to run for office. And I recall back to probably 1992, I'm guessing. But I was president of the National Women's Political Caucus, and our mission was, by God, we've got to get more women elected to office. And that's all we did. We were recruiting, and writing checks. And at one time, every single one of my representatives was a woman. except for the president. Lucy Calais, Dee Dee Alpert, Lynn Shank, Shirley Weber. It was wonderful. And what a peaceful community we had. And I'm going to keep fighting that. We've got to get more women like Mandy.
I'm making a note of her name, Mandy.
And two of the women that I wrote checks for across the country, they were both elected. So that works too. Anyway, I'm pretty distraught, but I know it can happen. And I know if we want a peaceful world, we have to take over. We have to. And we must. And so let's take over.
Hi there, I'm Mary Marshall, and so much of what has already been said rang true for me. If I go back to the feelings, which is how we started, I would say it's anger, love, and disappointment. I'm angry that we're in this situation. It's not a surprising situation given the history of our country, but it's one I'd rather not be in. I have a deep love for our country and the possibilities of it and the people in it, even the ones that voted in a way I do not understand. And I'm really disappointed and devastated. I was a teacher for over 30 years and I'm still subbing as a teacher. I taught everything from TK through 9th grade. I taught a lot of American history. I taught a lot of world history. And I felt when I couldn't sleep that night when the results were coming in, that those votes made my life a lie. Because how could the country that I loved and believed in cause this situation? I'm not giving up. I'm here. And I came here in 2017 and met Susan and Cathie. I was quite active for a while until family issues took over. But I'm back again because I have a daughter, I have granddaughters, and I have sons and I have grandsons. And I have a mother and a grandmother who did their time trying to move women forward. My mother was deeply involved with the Democrats here in San Diego, and she passed away in 2012. I can't even imagine what she would be feeling or thinking. I do know my daughter, though, is devastated and worried about her daughter, who is in her oldest, who is in 6th grade. And I have to say to my daughter yesterday, make sure when she starts her menstruation, not to put it in an app, because we don't know what's going to be happening. And her body has to be private to her at this point in life. What a thing to have to say in the year 2024. It's just insane. So I said more than I meant to say, but I connect with each and every one of you, and I hope that I can make a positive difference as we move forward. But I'm just really unsure because I live in the East County. I'm married to a person who voted for Trump. I know many people who voted for Trump. I don't understand either people who didn't vote at all or who voted for the person whose name I said, and I apologize, but it's beyond they're beyond my understanding of how they can vote for something that's so harmful to so many. So I have to grapple with that. So thank you.
Thank you. I too am married to a man who voted for Trump. Yeah, my name's Eileen. My name's Eileen Reedy. My uncle wrote The Twilight of the Presidency. He was LBJ's press secretary. So I'm from a long line of Democrats. Had an in-law who was a state Democratic senator from South Dakota. My father just died. I'm glad he didn't see this as well. I'm married to a Trumper. So to me, it's confusing. It makes me think we're not educating people correctly in this country, that they would make such a bad decision, which is what it is. And I'm determined to do whatever it takes to educate people to see the falsehoods of Trump, because he's selling a false narrative and he's going to destroy the country. So as a lifelong Democrat from a Democratic Party, I'll be willing to do whatever it takes to make sure this never happens again. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thanks. Catherine Whittle. The first day I was really angry, pissed off, and hated everybody I looked at, especially all of us white people, because I figured half of us were voting for somebody who didn't give a crap about anybody that didn't look like them. I took off, went to Pismo Beach for 5 days and didn't listen to any news. And I don't feel that way right now. What I feel like is that we have a lot of work to do. What you're doing is, Angela, with young women, this has been going on for quite some time. White nationalism has really become acceptable. And even though it has always been there, I think it had to stay in the shadows, and it doesn't have to stay in the shadows anymore. And it's with this elected president, it is going to normalize rudeness and crudeness, vulgarity. I've always thought no matter who the president is, whether I voted for him or not, the character traits of dignity, strength, courage, and pride, and just decency as they present themselves on a world stage. And we don't have that. I'm not proud of our country. And I feel like a lot that will be done by executive order. But I think what the Republicans have done is they've focused very carefully on local elections, school boards, city councils, water districts, all that. And oftentimes we focus on the big elections. And I think everything that we do, 2026 is coming up. There's not a big majority in the House right now. And it just means that we have to look at our young people, and you're in education and what you're doing. This is where it really has, when the young people are not given the opportunity to think openly and creatively, and they're just following, it's attractive. This whole idea that this white nationalistic attitude is that they don't want to share the country with anybody else other than other white nationalists. And I really do believe, I feel that it's, I'm right here in areas of San Diego. I know that may not be the case, but it does, you don't have to go very far to see that. So I am still disappointed, but I also know this better be a big wake-up call for us, because like someone else said, don't think that it can't happen here in our country, that we would lose it to something that just is appalling. So anyway, that's how I feel.
Hey, everybody. I didn't realize we're going to pass the mic. So some sort of disparate thoughts about this. First of all, my name is Cathie Stadler, and I have been a member of the club, haven't been around for a little bit. I think like a lot of people, unfortunately, not too surprised. I spent the first 4 or 5 months of the year in a suburb of Kansas City, Missouri. And even though there's a lot of places, California, if you looked at the map, is blood red, except a tiny sliver along the coast and a little dot by Reno and Tahoe, or by Tahoe. And if you get out of this sliver on the coast, even though there's a lot of problems here, you get a different feel for what's going on in the country. So that's something I encourage everybody to do. I would love to respond to tons of things people have said if we were engaging in conversation. I think there's so much there. From the American history teacher part, I'm a former teacher. And one of the reasons I love to teach history, and American history in particular, is because this is the story of our nation. And so what you taught wasn't a lie. Racism and misogyny were baked into the cake from the very beginning. And the story of our country has been about group after group after group of people coming forward and saying, we're part of that equality for everybody. We're part of that equal protection under the law. And we have seen that work being done. And if we think about it, Actual democracy has only been around for a short time. Well, I don't know why. Okay.
We have people on Zoom. Put to the side again. People on Zoom.
Right. Okay. Sorry about that. Cool. It hasn't been a long time, and there is a lot of work to do, clearly. Another thing that came up is that after 2016, along with Angela, along with Susan, along with other people in this room, I became pretty active. And for anybody who's thinking we can't make a difference, the cards are stacked against us, we absolutely can. In 2017, there was a 40-seat or so majority for Republicans in the House. It's going to be extremely slim this time. And we managed to protect the Affordable Care Act, was the first big piece of legislation, by just demanding that they not vote that way and putting the fear in Republicans. So we can do that again this time. And this club, one of the reasons that I'm drawn to it is the members and the leaders of this club are willing to act independently of our party if they think that's the right thing to do. And we saw that in the election. You said, you know, Heather Ferbert was an endorsed candidate by this club, but not by the party. And she won because she represented your values and you fought for her. And so that's one of the things that this club can do uniquely, and can also engage in conversations with people and really start to make a difference. So that's just a couple thoughts.
Gee, Cathie, I have to follow you. Okay, my name is Susan Peinado, and I am one of the co-founders of this club. We founded this club in 2014, Linda Perrine and I. Linda was a member of Dems for Equality, and Dems for Equality had just endorsed a man who did not believe in a woman's right to choose. And that was very upsetting. Juan Vargas, Michelle. That was very upsetting that there was not a realization that body autonomy is for everyone, has to be tied together. All the LGBT issues, women's issues, all of these issues are tied. If none of us are free, if one group is not respected and free, none of us are. So I have seen a huge difference since 2014. I think that everyone now understands that we all have to stand together. And when I first thought about what had happened, I was hearing some of the slogans that the resistance movements had come up with in Brazil. Don't let go of anyone's hand. So I think that's important for us to remember, because we all have to stand together. No finger pointing. There's been a lot of finger pointing in the party about who's to blame for this. We all have got to stand together. Don't let go of anyone's hand. We can argue later. That's from the French resistance, the Le Pen thing. We can argue about who's to blame later, but now we have got to stand strong together.
There are three more people, our president and Hannah. Okay. Huh? Sure.
Hi, is there anybody on the Zoom call that would like to speak up? If you want to raise your hand or unmute on Zoom.
Hi, everybody. This is Elkimar Elka. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I am at work actually right now. I was trying to go, but I work in a hospital. And I wrote a very strong sentence on the chat, and that's how I feel. What is going on in the United States? We have so many people well prepared with a lot of balance in their brain to run our beautiful country. What the hell are we doing? And excuse my language, but what are we doing with our country? I believe in United States. Look at other countries. Look at Mexico. Look at Venezuela with so much corruption. We are a country of laws. We are a country of respect. We are a country of regulations, of sharing, of fighting, of standing up, leading, being an example to others. What the hell is going on right now? That's how I feel. And yes, my statement in the chat is, was, is still, and is still gonna be very hard, because that's how I feel. And I don't need, just like I said, I don't need a political science degree hanging in my wall to have a little clue of what's going on with China, with Russia, with North Korea, the interest of other people trying to screw it up with our country. We just can't freaking let it happen. We just can't. I'm gonna try to come in person next time. I need to get involved with you guys. I need to talk to other people in my community. I live in El Cajon right now / Lakeside. I'm on the borderline, but that's how I feel. I just wanted to share my stressful thinking and feeling right now. I apologize.
Thank you so much. Anybody else on Zoom like to raise their hand to speak? Well, I'll go ahead and say my piece. Of course, devastated is the first word that comes to mind 13 days ago. But I will say that when I was preparing the slide deck for our wins, it really gave me hope and buoyed my spirits a little bit. And I think about when I first came here in 2017, when I first came to the meeting, and the candidates would line up to speak, and they were all men. And now in 2024, when the candidates line up to speak, they're almost all women. And in the slideshow that we showed, those were all our endorsed candidates. And those were some really important races. And did you see all the women of color that were elected? So those things buoy my spirit and give me hope and let me know that the work we're doing is really important. And all of you introducing yourselves, I really appreciate it. It's an impressive group of women and gentlemen here tonight. So I appreciate that very much. That one's not
I have a message to John that you need to speak from someone. Okay, he still declines. You want to continue?
If I have an explicit instruction like that, I can't hardly not speak. But yeah, I think Michelle mentioned at the beginning, yeah, in 2016, it was really upsetting. And for some strange reason, well, not a strange reason, for many reasons, right? This time around, it wasn't as upsetting. And that's because in the meantime, I met all of, well, not everybody in this room, but I met a lot of people like the people in this room. Because in 2016, the clubs doubled in size. People came out, people got involved, people got active, people worked. And yeah, we live in a bubble by the coast in San Diego. San Diego has changed. 30 years I've lived here, it's changed a lot. But when I arrived in 93, 94, there was Prop 187. There was little old Pete Wilson from San Diego who overstepped. He went too far. He tried to do things that this current administration is talking of doing. And look what that led to. The Republicans have never had power in California ever since. So there are good things that can come out of seemingly very bad things. And also, you can maybe, some people can tell from the accent or whatever, I've not always lived in California. And where I grew up in England, recently they changed out a government after 14 years of mismanagement and rule by a very right-wing extremist party who are now completely decimated, have no political power at the national level, and have been replaced by people who think a lot more like we do. So if it's possible there, it's possible here. There's always hope. But more important than hope, there's organizing. And as Susan mentioned, keeping hold of people's hands, bringing them in, talking, discussing. We don't have to agree on everything, but on the big things, we are all in agreement. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm really touched and impressed. There's a lot of courage in this room. There's a lot of experience. There's a lot of expertise in all kinds of fields. And I think we all feel the same way in a lot of ways that although we're tremendously discouraged, angry, and hurt, that there are things we can do. And we had discussed possibly doing a little brainstorming. I think some of that occurred already. Does anyone have specific suggestions that they'd like to propose? I mean, nobody's dumb around here. So yes. Oh, okay. You're just fixing your hair. Michelle Krug.
Just reiterating what I said is find something. Every week you can find something that where you are constructively doing something, whether it's helping somebody, whether it's checking in on an elderly neighbor, whether it's whatever, but planting something in your garden. Just something where you know that you are making that difference. That's what I am going to suggest for right now.
Yes. And Michelle, by the way, is someone who does something political every week and every day. So she doesn't just plant gardens, believe me.
I just wanted to add that kind of on the same line that Michelle was talking about is the morning after the election, I just decided I would be practicing, which I typically do, but I wanted to make an extra effort to practice kindness and respect. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm letting people walk over me, and kindness is not the same as niceness, but it's making sure when I'm interacting with people that I'm listening to them. And if I'm speaking to them, I'm making sure that I'm heard. I just think I don't want, someone had mentioned about the rudeness taking root. That's already happening, and I didn't want to be a part of that. I wanted the interactions I had with people of all ages to be based on kindness and mutual respect. Mary Marshall.
Angela. I have a question. I have a friend who's very politically active. You know, she probably drove to Yuma to knock on doors and postcard and phone banking. And she was complaining about the people that voted for that person and people who didn't vote and on and on and on. And then somewhere in the conversation, it turned out that her boyfriend wrote his own name in on the ballot. And okay, I don't understand this. Okay, I don't understand. And this is a question to white people. I do not understand how you're out reaching out to all these people out there and you live in a house or sleep in a bed with somebody who voted for that guy. I don't get it. I'm just asking.
I do want to give a glimmer of hope about something. We are in a mental health and educational crisis. I do believe that's manifesting in our reality right now. But one thing in the numbers, and they've not been finalized or certified, but he didn't gain more supporters. It's just we couldn't get people to show up to care about other people. And so I think what Angela's saying is, again, we have a duty as with our privilege, with our whiteness, and we come from different parts. I have indigenous parts, but hey, I have a great grandfather who was an 06 Nazi, in Germany. Yes. And so we need to address those parts of ourselves and we need to call that out. And so I'm all about the niceness and stuff, but I've learned a good thing because I'm trauma informed about boundaries and about calling things out. And I do believe that the future of what we're doing, we got to call people in. You know, we all know where we know what opportunities we all need to have. But I did get encouraged by the fact that he didn't gain people. He wasn't, you know, the popular vote isn't, he's not gaining supporters. We just need to get our people to show up. And so I think one of the easiest ways, and it's something I'm wanting to do in my club, you know, those calls of remorse or those calls of hopelessness. Oh, I got a place. I know where you can go to find people who are like you, who want to organize and make a change. It's down at the Democratic Women's Club, or it's out over here or over there, you know? So I think, again, the work is, again, organizing, finding your people and the people in your life. We have a responsibility. Enough of this, oh, we're gonna be here for everyone, and we should be, and we should call people in. I think there's power in that for sure. But I think as well that we gotta get our people engaged, our friends engaged. It was our people who didn't show up and made those votes, you know? It was our people. We can't say, oh, people were signing on to this message and the gobbledygook or whatever he was saying. We couldn't get our people to come out and vote. And that is the humbling truth about this in ways. And that's where I think our focus the next for every focus should be, hey, I got a place. You're my friend. You think like me. Let's do something together. Let's get rowdy. Let's go cause some good trouble and bring him to the club. And so I think that's where my focus is out of everything else too, showing up for community, connecting, leaning into people. Get your people out here. We got to find our people.
I think one of the frustrating things is in the 10 Commandments that you read, it says don't argue with his supporters because it doesn't work. So where does that leave us when we're?
No, I think that is correct, and to argue with them. But over the years, I've developed a comment is one, don't stay silent. By not arguing with them does not mean don't say anything at all, because oftentimes you're in a group and that you don't want to get into the argument at all. But something very effective is when it comes up, instead of sitting there and saying nothing, say, I don't see it that way. That's my favorite phrase. I don't see it that way. If they want to discuss it further or something, anything along those lines, I think that's the way you see it. I don't see it that way at all.
That's a great suggestion. Thank you.
It was not a landslide. It was not a landslide. And everybody's saying it's a landslide. We have to know in our hearts that it was not. It was just a few votes in a lot of places. And you know, I just want us to know that there's a lot of us.
Right. Those California votes are coming in and the popular vote is getting closer.
A couple things following up on what folks have said. I don't know if people have seen these numbers. Before Biden dropped, inside numbers showed it was going to be a landslide. He was going to lose. He was going to win more than 400 electoral votes. And that would have been a huge landslide. And we asked the first Black woman to run for a major political party to take the ball in her own end zone, facing a 400+ electoral count defeat, and take 77, not 107 days and try to win. And she prevented a landslide. And the work that went into that, and people have commented on the role of white people and white women and using our privilege, and that's definitely something to dive into. Angela, to your question, I have sort of rekindled ties with family who are in Missouri, and one of whom is here right now. And it's really tough not tough conversations, but trying to have really careful conversations that point out where we do agree on things. And if you look around the country, things are changing. And I'll just, Missouri, an example, Missouri passed the $15 an hour minimum wage. They passed mandatory leave for the first time in the country. They passed protections for abortion that take it back essentially to Roe. There are changes happening in places in the country that we wouldn't expect, but there's a lot of really well thought out, sort of the I'm going to run from dog catcher to president long-term strategies that divide us in ways that we need to figure out how to bring people together. Two other things, and I don't know if people have seen this, focus groups conducted since the election are apparently showing very strongly that people say, that guy's an asshole. He is a horrible, awful human being. You're right. I think he's disgusting. I think he's all these things, but I trusted Republicans more with the economy. And that lines up. No incumbent party in the world has seen the incumbent win in the last year facing a post-pandemic inflation. The other thing just to think about, one of the most Googled search terms in red states, everybody know this? It looks like a few people do across the country. How do I change my vote? Can I change my vote? And that goes back to an education piece. And that goes back almost to well, I'm going to vote for this guy, but I really don't think everybody else is. So it'll be okay. But just a couple things.
Back to the sadness and the heartbreak, and my husband consoling me and saying, but almost half the country is on the same page as you, because my biggest fear actually in this outcome was I have so much less in common with people than I thought I did. Right. And it is a bubble you're in a lot of the time. And I've lived different parts in the country and I've seen it differently. Absolutely. But I have to remind myself of that. And that also plays to where we get involved and how we stay engaged. Like that's exactly what autocracy wants, to smash dissension, right? To smash all of the community and engagement. And the worst thing I can do is disengage. And that's what I've been telling all of my friends, my same age, who are feeling similarly and not wanting to engage and wanting to isolate, is to just don't do it. Just resist the temptation.
Thank you. All right, we're going to wrap this part up.
Okay, yeah, change doesn't happen smoothly. And a lot of our ancestors have been through this. And even our peers, the LGBT movement has made tremendous gains. The civil rights movement, the women's suffrage movement. We've been through a civil war. We've been through horrible international wars, World War II, World War I. And, there was a lot of togetherness maybe before, but not now. And it looks like the consensus is we continue to fight, and we continue to fight with love.
Thank you, Pat. All right, we are going to move on. Thank you everyone for sharing. That was really valuable. I appreciate you all. We're going to move on to Susan, and she's going to talk about something that Jackson mentioned, which is ballot curing. There are a couple of races still where they're doing ballot curing. Susan's going to explain what that is and how you can get involved.
Right, Jackson, you may have a little bit more, because the opportunities where I was working for ballot curing are now over. Nevada, I worked in Jackie Rosen's campaign, and she's now the declared winner. She is the junior senator for the state of Nevada. And that was really interesting. I also worked in Arizona for the Kamala Harris to cure the ballots. So what ballot curing is, for any of you who just walked in the door, is usually someone hasn't signed their ballot, or the signature doesn't look the same. And it's very simple. Every county in, I think, Nevada has almost a different way to cure it. Some of them are simply, you can cure it by an email. Now, the county party, if the ballot is rejected, has usually sent an email already to the person. And that person may have ignored it or not seen it or whatever. So the campaign calls, and it's very simple. They give you training and they give you a script. They tell you how to do it, and it's I found that the easiest way for me, I have a large screen and my laptop, and a phone. So you call from your own phone and the number comes up on the screen. It's simple to have that interface open and then the script open. And then if you've got a big enough screen, you know, you can have the count, how whatever county, you can have the count, how the counties cure the ballots. So, I mean, it's simple. You don't really, if you know how to use Zoom also, it's simple and it's fun. Some of the campaigns have you call 2 times. That's a little kinder for you. If you call 3 times and somebody answers on the 3rd time, you better have it. You don't go by the script. You say your ballot was rejected. When they say, did you just call me 3 times? Your ballot was rejected and I'm here to help you cure it. You know, you don't say what campaign you're in, you know, because they're going to say, like one guy said to me, well, and just slammed the phone down on me. So 3 times but that's a persistent campaign. That was the Jackie Rosen campaign. And that was important. That was an important race. So that's ballot curing.
So the last information I had is that California 45, Derek Tran he's only behind by 58 votes. Oh, you want to update me? Yes, please give us an update.
I didn't realize there were so many new people here too. My name is Jackson, and my day job is I work for Congresswoman Jacobs. But she did great, and so I felt weird sitting on my butt at home. And so I was talking with her chief of staff about places around town, and we got in touch with Derek Tran's campaign manager. On election night, Derek Tran, his district, the woman he's running against, Michelle Steele, has been in that seat for 2 terms. She's been there for 4 years. Even for a modern day American Republican, kind of like cartoonishly corrupt almost. Like there's actually like an ongoing investigation about spending $1.5 million in campaign money on, I think it was real estate. I don't know what it was. It's a hoot. On election night, Derek Tran was down by 11,000 votes. And that it's mostly in Orange County. There's a little sliver of LA County. They're taking forever to count all of their remaining mail-in ballots. I started going up. So last week, every day I commuted up there for about like a 2-hour drive, and then knocked on doors in the evening. The first night I was there, he was down by 1,000. The third night that I was there, he was down by 300 something. Thursday night, he was down by 56. Friday night, he was up by 36. And I just checked again right now, he's up by 102. And this is more than 300,000 votes have been counted, and he is up by 102. So every time people tell you, oh, I live in California, my vote doesn't matter, I tell them the same thing Sarah Jacobs tells them, which is if you're talking about the president, you're right. But everything else, you are dead wrong. His name is Derek Tran in Orange County.
District 45.
Oh, yeah.
Tran. Hold on 1 second.
Tran, yeah.
So you were going, so after the calls are made and they don't answer the calls, then the next step is that people go to the door.
Yep. And I'm going back tomorrow. We're still doing it. And I have also had some people kind of irritated because they have been bothered so many times, and you got to do it because the reason why they're getting bothered so many times is because they messed up. And it's like, if you want, like I had a guy literally open the door and start yelling at me that it was an invasion of his privacy because somebody else had knocked on his door from a different campaign 45 minutes earlier. And he was like, and it's my birthday. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Happy birthday. Like, I don't know you, man. Yeah. But it is making a difference. And the Republicans will control the House, but there are currently, I want to say 5 seats that are still yet to be called. And every single one of those makes a huge difference, because if we can take those, we put Republicans in a position like they were like, well, even like Democrats were in with like Joe Manchin in the Senate, right? Where they have to get everybody. And it makes it so much easier. If we only have to find 2 Republicans with spines than 5, I'll take that. So it matters a lot. And so if you've got 4.5 hours free in the evenings, you can drive up to LA with me. But otherwise, I'm sure there's phone call opportunities.
Yeah,
also.
there is a phone link and I will send it in the follow-up email.
Oh, yeah.
How's
Perfect.
Adam Gray doing in California 13? Do you know?
Adam Gray. I'm not actually, I can check.
Can you look at
Or hold on,
13?
got it open. I want to say that one's called.
Has that one been called? Well, they keep counting votes, whether it gets called or not.
Yeah.
Michelle
Partially
has something to say.
So I just, yeah, because the next update is not until next Thursday. So we have a whole week. Anyway, I wanted to say that ballot curing goes on here in the local races. I did it for Monica Montgomery Steppe. So the way we've done it down here, actually anywhere in California, is we have until December 1st for them to sign a paper, and the paper is available online. It's on the sdvote.com website. I can easily show anybody how to get to it. It's the same paper, and the paper just says, this was my signature. So it's not necessarily that they messed up. I have to say that I'm on the executive board for the California Alliance of Retired Americans, and a lot of seniors are disenfranchised because they didn't mess up. Their signature just has changed over the years, or yes, there's a few people, but the numbers are very small compared to the numbers that are mismatched. So you buy the missing and mismatched signature list from the ROV, and it's available the very day people start voting. So in California, it was available on October 7th. And then it changes daily, because as they determine that someone's signature is mismatched, or they forgot to sign it altogether, they literally send them a piece of paper, a letter. And yes, most people do miss it. But what we did on Monica's campaign is we just went through all the people on the list. Or I'll give you a better example right now. Esther Sanchez in Oceanside, she was down, I can't remember the numbers, but right now she's up by 31 votes. And but that she's been diligently, because we got her the list. So it was 39 missing signatures and 442 or 446 mismatched signatures. So you're basically going through that list and seeing, because you don't want to get people cured if they didn't vote for you.
Right.
So
That's
that's what we
important.
did with Monica. We had to cross-reference it and see who the committed voters were, then send it to her mom. Who do you know on this list? It's like you use all of your resources, but it is really important to recognize that this goes on all the local races. Cipriano needed that. He was 8 votes below at one point, and now he's safely above.
Sabrina is close.
Yeah, but he's safely above, whereas he was below at least 3 of the times that they dumped ballots.
So I will send the link for ballot curing. And Michelle, since you have the mic, do you want to go ahead and talk about the strike, what we added to the agenda? Thank you.
The National Union of Health Workers and UHW has been on strike since October 21st. It's the mental health professionals at Kaiser. The strike is physically taking place at the only one place in the county, Kaiser San Diego Medical Center on Ruffin Road and Claremont Mesa Boulevard, not far from the Register of Voters. And it's 8 a.m. till 2 p.m. Monday through Friday, for this week. Next week, we'll be out there Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday because it's Thanksgiving. And then after that, because it's an ongoing strike, and Kaiser has not given us dates for negotiating since October 25th, so I'm not holding my breath. But they'd love any help and support. I did send to John Laughlin that he will share. There's a hardship fund to try to expedite people being able to stay out because they're not getting paid. And we basically, there's a big disparity between how Kaiser is treating Northern California and Southern California. One very quick example is that therapists in Northern California get 7 hours a week to document all of their cases, to call Child Protective Services when necessary because they're mandated reporters, to talk to psychiatrists, all of that kind of stuff. They're given 7 hours a week in Southern, and it's protected hours. They cannot touch it. Management can't touch those 7 hours. In Southern California, it's 2 hours and they're not protected. So Kaiser can just slip in another patient at their discretion. The other big thing is their pension. So in 2015, Kaiser basically lied and said, well, we're going to create a 2-tier system. So all new employees from now on are unilaterally going to be getting a 401k and no longer the defined benefit pension. Well, that was a lie because as of today, every Kaiser employee from janitor to doctor in Northern California and all of them in Southern California, with the exception of those mental health professionals covered under National Union of Health Workers, are getting the defined benefit pension. But the newer workers from 2015 on, for specifically only under psychiatry, under the NUHW, they're getting a 401k. So those are just some of the disparities, and there's pay disparities, et cetera. So come out, let Kaiser know that it's not okay to treat Southern California as second-class citizens, and keep them inspired. We did have mariachis out there last Monday from Southwestern College. They came out because it was Veterans Day. And this Tuesday, we're going to have the Thanksgiving Tuesday. We're going to have the Ballet Folklorico coming out. And we're trying to get one of the bands from San Diego Unified. So just keep the spirits up.
Great. And I will include all that information in our follow-up email as well.
Sorry, I need to issue a correction. Adam Gray's race in California has not been called, and in fact, he's down right now by 2,300 votes, and they have like almost 30,000 that they still need to count. So there are 2 races in California that are still open, and so if we can find a link for that one too. Yeah, District 13 and District 45. 13's up. It doesn't include Fresno, but it's right next to Fresno, and then 45 is Orange County.
Yes, I will certainly include that link. Is that QR code for ballot curing? Oh, for the hardship fund, if you'd like to donate to the hardship fund, the QR code on the screen will get you there. All right, we're going to move on to business, new or unfinished business. Does anyone have any new or unfinished business tonight? If not, we will go on to officers' reports. Susan, do you have anything else? Susan is our external vice president.
I want to see you all at our holiday party, December the 14th, 2 to 4. Sarah's certainly invited. It's at our house, and we have you will be sent in your notes tomorrow or the next day a QR code, an invitation. John, do you want to pull it up? But there's a QR code on that also. We all know how to use QR codes now, right? Okay. And the reason we want you to RSVP, you'll get the address. It's in Mount Helix in La Mesa, is so that we'll know how much food and how much wine to have on hand. So you're welcome to bring friends if you want. Men are always welcome because, we love them and we need them. We need their support and we need to bring them along with us. So that's my report.
And you're welcome to bring cookies. We're going to let y'all provide the dessert this year. Some people brought desserts last year and we thought that was really nice. So if you'd like to bring a plate of cookies, that will be appreciated as well. Let's see, we've got Pat. Do you have no, did you say you 170 members, something like that? 147, okay. So that's great. Hannah, do you have anything? All right, for my president's report, I'm just going to say that we have officer elections coming up in February. So if you'd like to get more involved, which I hope many of you will, we are electing president, internal vice president, membership, and secretary. So if you're interested in any of those, please see Patricia. She's going to be our nomination chair. We do have those of us that are in those positions willing to stay on if no one steps up. But hey, if someone steps up, we can all use a break. So don't get too excited, Susan. But we really do need an internal VP. That's the one position that we don't have somebody who wants to remain in the spot. So if you'd like to be the internal vice president, please see Patricia. She is going to be making her recommendations to the club for our elections in February. And let's see, do we have any announcements tonight? Let's go, Michelle.
I couldn't get away without having an announcement. ADEMS. So back to reality. The ADEM elections are a little bit further on in the year. This time it's going to be February 22nd and 23rd. Most, I hope, 95% of the voters who get to come out and vote will do it on their computer at home. It's going to be really easy to just be able to do it at home.
Michelle, could you explain what ADEMS is, please?
Sorry, I know better. The Assembly District delegate elections are something that happened through the California Democratic Party. I guess I should preface this. I'm the regional director for Assembly Districts 77, 78, 79, and 80, liaisoning the state party and the local party. So Assembly District delegates are elected. There's 7 female and 7 other than female people elected to become California delegates to the California Convention. That creates more or less a third of all of the delegates to the convention. The other ways that they get elected is through the Central Committee and also the partisan electeds, like our assembly people, our senators, our Congress people, all get to appoint a certain number. So that is how 99% of the people become delegates to the California Convention. The ADEMs are the real grassroots part of it. And those elections, the candidates, if you want to run, anybody who's a registered Democrat can run. That's going to start on December 9th. If you go to cadem.org for California Dem Party, cadem.org, you'll see the link to be able to sign up as, starting on December 9th, of course, as a candidate. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure the period is December 9th through January 8th to sign up as a candidate. And then January 6th through February 23rd is when you can actually sign up to get your PIN number to be able to vote. To be able to vote from your home, like doing it through email, you have to sign up between January 6th. And again, don't quote me on it, but I think it's January 24th. It's a short period of time. But all it takes is filling out a quick application, your name, your address, and they'll send you the PIN. They're going to look you up in PDI and make sure that you're a registered Democrat. But that's how you'll get your PIN number, and then you can just do it at home. I'm always available. I publicly put my phone number out here. You can also get it on the cadem.org website under regional directors, or ask Cathie or Susan or John.
Great.
So that I'm always available to walk through specific situations.
Now
But please vote, because really you need a voice on the California level.
Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle.
You're saying vote, but are the people that you round up to vote for you, to elect you to this position, can they, is it an in-person vote, or it's still in person?
23rd. It will, I'm in process of trying to get 2 locations for the Malcolm X Library. I can't do it till it's 3 months before, so I have to wait till the end of this month. But there'll be a minimum of 2 locations between Assembly District 80 and Assembly District 77.
So there'll be 2 physical locations, and they can also do it through their email.
Oh, can you also get people to vote for you by email?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
All right. Any other announcements tonight? Seeing none, we have reached the end of our agenda, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. And we hope to see you at the holiday party on December 14th. Good night. Safe home.